The silent vanguard. Dr. Sarah Chen stood motionless before the quantum array's holographic display, her dark eyes reflecting cascades of data that shouldn't exist. After 15 years of searching for extraterrestrial signals, she had expected to find simple patterns, maybe basic communications. Instead, she had discovered humanity's cage. The signal wasn't coming from distant stars. It was coming from everywhere, a quantum field envelope surrounding our entire solar system. We hadn't been alone in the galaxy. We had been contained. "Play it again," she commanded, her voice steady despite the weight of the discovery. The AI compiled the decoded signal, transforming quantum fluctuations into clear, precise language. Species: human. Terra Sol system. Status: containment protocol active. Reason: genetic anomaly. Class Omega. Warning: subject species demonstrates unprecedented evolutionary acceleration. The message continued with clinical detachment, describing humanity like specimens in a zoo. But it was the next section that made Sarah's blood run cold. Harvest schedule: imminent. Projected resistance: minimal. Special instructions: complete genetic extraction authorized. Sarah's fingers flew across the neural interface, sending emergency protocols to every major space agency on Earth. Within hours, the Planetary Defense Council chamber in Geneva was filled with humanity's brightest minds, all grappling with the same terrible truth. Admiral James Rodriguez, director of the classified Stellar Defense Initiative, was the first to speak. Dr. Chen's discovery confirms what a few of us have suspected for decades. We are not alone, and we are not free. The holographic display at the center of the chamber showed the quantum barrier surrounding Earth, invisible to conventional sensors, but absolutely present. It had been there for thousands of years, subtly influencing our development, keeping us isolated while we were studied. But why? Asked Dr. Yuki Tanaka, head of human genetics research. What makes us so special that an advanced civilization would invest this much effort in containing us? Sarah stepped forward, her research data flooding the display. It's our adaptive capability. Most species evolve over millions of years. We evolve in generations. Our genetic code doesn't just change. It learns. And something out there sees that as either a threat or a resource. The room fell silent as surveillance footage began playing from deep space outposts. Massive ships, unlike anything in human design philosophy, were appearing at the edges of our solar system. They moved like liquid metal given form, their surfaces rippling with energy patterns that defied physics as we understood it. "They're coming to harvest us," Rodriguez stated grimly. "But they don't know what we've been doing all these years in isolation." He activated his secure channel, and new images appeared, secret facilities buried beneath every continent, experimental ships that had never seen the light of day. "Project Prometheus," he announced. "While they watched us from above, we built our answer below. We didn't know who we were preparing to fight, but we knew someday we'd have to fight for our freedom." The images showed vessels that seemed to blur the line between biology and technology. Ships grown rather than built, incorporating human consciousness directly into their systems. Weapons that didn't destroy but rather rewrote the laws of physics locally. "How long have we had this capability?" demanded the Chinese representative, his face flushed with anger at the secrecy. "That's the wrong question," Sarah interrupted. "The right question is, how did we develop technology that our watchers never noticed? Technology that, by their standards, should be impossible for us to have." Understanding dawned across the faces in the room. The very genetic adaptability that made us valuable had allowed us to progress in ways our observers couldn't predict or understand. Their containment hadn't imprisoned us, it had incubated us. "We have 6 days before their harvest fleet arrives," Rodriguez announced. 6 days to activate everything we've built in secret. 6 days to show them that humanity isn't their specimen anymore. Sarah looked at the quantum barrier surrounding Earth, seeing it now not as a cage, but as a shield that had given humanity time to prepare. They think they're coming to harvest a carefully cultivated crop, she said softly. Instead, they're about to meet humanity unchained. As the council chamber erupted into action, Sarah couldn't help but smile. The signal she had discovered was meant to be a death sentence for humanity. Instead, it would be the catalyst for our emergence onto the galactic stage, not as specimens, but as equals. The hunters were coming, but their prey had evolved beyond their greatest fears. Humanity's silence was about to end, and the galaxy would never be the same. Breaking the chains. The Prometheus docility beneath the Mariana Trench awakened with a subtle vibration that rippled through the ocean floor. Dr. Maya Patel watched through the quantum blast viewport as the first of humanity's secret weapons stirred to life, ships that defied conventional classification. Bioseed vessels achieving consciousness, the AI reported, its voice resonating through the command center. Neural integration at optimal levels. The vessels before her were unlike anything the public had ever seen. They weren't constructed from metal and circuits, but grown from a hybrid of human stem cells and quantum crystalline matrices. Each ship was technically alive, with a nervous system that could interface directly with its human pilots. Status report on the Harvest Fleet, Maya asked, her augmented eyes scanning multiple data streams simultaneously. 23 capital ships have breached the Kuiper Belt. Lieutenant David Cohen responded from his station. They're maintaining their previous course and speed. No indication they've detected our facilities. Maya nodded, her attention turning to the neural synchronization chambers, where the first wave of pilots were being integrated with their vessels. These weren't traditional pilots. They were individuals who had undergone extensive genetic modification, pushing the boundaries of human adaptation even further than natural evolution had taken us. Admiral Rodriguez's voice came through the quantum comm. All facilities, initiate Phase 1. Dr. Patel, you have operational command of the Pacific Division. Maya took a deep breath, feeling the weight of history pressing down on her shoulders. Acknowledged. Pacific Division, prepare for neural handshake. The bioseed vessels began to pulse with internal light, their crystalline structures refracting patterns that seemed to bend reality itself. Each ship was unique, having grown and developed based on the genetic template of its assigned pilot. They were the ultimate expression of humanity's adaptive potential, technology that was as much evolution as invention. In the synchronization chambers, the pilot's consciousness began to merge with their vessels. Unlike conventional neural interfaces, this was a true symbiosis. The ships weren't just being piloted, they were becoming extensions of human will. First wave neural integration complete, the AI announced. Bioseed vessels report ready for deployment. Maya opened a channel to all Pacific Division personnel. What we do today will redefine humanity's place in the galaxy. The beings coming to harvest us believe they understand human potential because they've studied us like specimens in a lab. They're about to learn how wrong they are. The massive doors of the underwater facility began to open, dark water rushing in through specially designed channels. The bioseed vessels moved with liquid grace, their forms shifting and adapting to the crushing pressures of the deep ocean. Pacific Division, launch sequence initiated, Maya commanded. Ascent trajectory calculated to avoid civilian detection. Remember, we need to remain invisible until all divisions are in position. One by one, the vessels rose from their berths, their biocrystalline hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it. They moved through the water with impossible speed, their hybrid nature allowing them to slip through the ocean as easily as thought. As the ships ascended, Maya received confirmation signals from other facilities around the world. The Atlantic Division was launching from the Puerto Rico Trench. The Indian Division was emerging from depths near the Diamantina Fracture Zone. Humanity's hidden fleet was rising, preparing to defend Earth from those who would harvest us. All vessels, maintain quantum silence, Maya ordered. We need to get our entire fleet in position before they realize we're more than simple prey. The Harvest Fleet continued its approach, its massive ships decelerating as they passed Mars. They had no reason to expect resistance. Their quantum barrier had kept humanity effectively blind and contained for millennia. Their sensors were calibrated to detect conventional technology, looking for the expected signs of a civilization at our apparent development level. But the bioseed vessels represented something entirely different. They were the product of human ingenuity combined with our unique genetic adaptability. Every attempt to contain and study humanity had only pushed us to evolve in unexpected ways. Maya watched the tactical display as the first wave of bioseed vessels took up their positions in the outer solar system, hidden in the shadows of moons and asteroids. The harvest fleet would pass right through their formation, never suspecting that their quarry had broken free of their constraints and prepared a welcome of their own. All Pacific Division vessels in position, she reported to Admiral Rodriguez. Neural networks stable, weapons systems primed. Excellent, Rodriguez replied. Now we wait for them to spring their trap, never realizing they're about to spring ours. Maya looked at the approaching harvest fleet, their massive ships gleaming with alien technology. They had come to collect specimens, expecting to find a carefully contained experiment. Instead, they would meet humanity unchained, wielding technology born from the very genetic adaptability they sought to harvest. The hunters were about to become the hunted, and the galaxy was about to learn why it was a mistake to try to cage humanity. The counterstrike. The harvest fleet's massive ships cast long shadows across Mars' rusty surface as they made their final approach to Earth. Inside the lead vessel, Overseer Xalthak reviewed the containment protocols one final time. For millennia, their civilization had carefully cultivated promising species across the galaxy, harvesting their genetic potential when it peaked. Humans had proven exceptionally interesting and troublesome. All extraction vessels, prepare for barrier deactivation, Xalthak commanded. Begin surface approach pattern. The quantum barrier that had contained humanity for so long began to flicker and fade. It was at that precise moment that humanity revealed its hand. From behind Phobos, Mars's larger moon, the first wave of bioseed vessels emerged. They moved like liquid shadows, their crystalline hulls absorbing all light and energy directed at them. The harvest fleet's sensors registered nothing until it was too late. Multiple anomalies detected. Xalthak's subordinate called out. Energy signatures unlike anything in our database. Maya Patel's voice rang through every ship in the harvest fleet, transmitted on frequencies they thought impossible for humans to access. This is Dr. Maya Patel of Earth's Defense Force. You came to harvest a carefully controlled experiment. Instead, you're about to learn why letting humans evolve in isolation was your greatest mistake. The bioseed vessels struck with devastating precision. They didn't fire conventional weapons. They didn't need to. Instead, they projected fields of pure quantum manipulation, their human pilot's consciousness directing the very fabric of space-time itself. Harvest ships found their energy systems reversing polarity, their artificial gravity wells turning inside out. Weapon systems targeted their own vessels, reorganized at the quantum level by the bioseed vessel's impossible technology. How is this possible? Xalthak demanded, watching as his mighty fleet was systematically disabled by technology that shouldn't exist. They were contained, monitored. From her command center beneath the Pacific, Maya allowed herself a small smile. Lieutenant Cohen, show them exactly how possible it is. David Cohen, merged with his bioseed vessel, led a strike team directly through the heart of the harvest fleet. Their ships moved in perfect synchronization, their hybrid nature allowing them to process and react to threats faster than any conventional computer system. Their shield frequencies are adapting, Cohen reported. His consciousness spread through his vessel's systems. Switching to parallel quantum states, the bioseed vessels began to exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously, making them impossible to target effectively. Every countermeasure the harvest fleet deployed was met with an immediate adaptation, the human pilots and their living ships evolving their tactics in real time. This is impossible. Xalthak broadcast. Your species was carefully contained. Your development was monitored and controlled. You monitored what you expected to see, Maya responded. You never understood that human adaptation isn't just biological. It's technological, social, and cognitive. Every barrier you created just gave us a new puzzle to solve. The bioseed vessels continued their systematic dismantling of the Harvest Fleet's capabilities. They didn't destroy, they transformed. Weapon systems were rewritten to become communication arrays. Propulsion systems were altered to prevent retreat. The hunters found themselves completely at the mercy of their intended prey. Admiral Rodriguez's voice cut through all channels. All divisions, execute containment protocol Omega. Let's show them how it feels to be the ones in a cage. The bioseed vessels moved in perfect harmony, their quantum fields interconnecting to create something unprecedented, a barrier of their own design, trapping the Harvest Fleet in a web of altered spacetime. What you're experiencing, Maya explained to the increasingly desperate Harvest Fleet, is technology born from the very genetic adaptability you hoped to harvest. Every human pilot connected to these vessels is actively evolving the technology as we use it. You can't predict or counter what we're going to do because we're creating new possibilities with every passing moment. Zelthak watched in disbelief as his mighty Harvest Fleet, the pride of their civilization, was completely neutralized by the very specimens they had come to collect. The humans hadn't just broken free of their containment. They had mastered and exceeded the very principles behind it. Perhaps, Maya continued, her voice carrying a hint of irony, it's time we had a discussion about the true nature of evolution and why attempting to harvest and control it was always destined to fail. The bioseed vessels held their positions, their quantum barrier firmly in place around the Harvest Fleet. Humanity's counter-strike had succeeded not through destruction, but through the very adaptation their would-be harvesters had sought to exploit. The hunters had become the contained, and the galaxy's balance of power was about to undergo an evolution of its own. Evolution's edge. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the Quantum Observatory beneath Geneva, watching as history unfolded in the space above Earth. The Harvest Fleet hung suspended in the bioseed vessel's containment field, their mighty ships now little more than elaborate cages for their crews. But something unexpected was happening, something that even humanity's most advanced predictions hadn't anticipated. Dr. Patel, she called through the quantum link, are you seeing these readings? In her command center beneath the Pacific, Maya Patel watched as new data streamed across her displays. The bioseed vessels weren't just containing the Harvest Fleet, they were changing. The hybrid ships were evolving at an accelerated rate, their very structure adapting to the prolonged exposure to alien technology. The quantum resonance is spreading through the entire fleet, Maya confirmed. Our pilots report. They can feel it. They're beginning to understand their technology at a fundamental level. Admiral Rodriguez's hologram materialized in both command centers. What exactly are we dealing with here? Sarah's fingers danced across her neural interface, bringing up complex quantum equations. The bioseed vessels were designed to adapt. As the Harvest Fleet launched their desperate assault, the bioseed vessels demonstrated the full extent of their transformation. They didn't dodge the attacks. They simply shifted the probability of being hit to zero. They didn't return fire. They rewrote the quantum states of the incoming weapons, transforming destructive energy into harmless light. Sarah watched in amazement as the tactical displays struggled to represent what was happening. The bioseed vessels were operating on levels that their sensors could barely detect, let alone understand. This wasn't just warfare. It was the next step in human evolution playing out throughout the solar system. The transformed bioseed vessels created a new kind of network, not a barrier to contain, but a framework for growth. Earth's isolation was ending, not with war or submission, but with an invitation to the galaxy to evolve together. All divisions, Maya commanded, initiate final protocol. Genesis. The quantum network expanded, touching every ship in both fleets. Human consciousness, merged with evolved technology, reached out to alien minds. The boundary between species began to blur, not through conquest or assimilation, but through shared understanding and growth. Zolthak stepped forward on his bridge, his voice carrying new comprehension. For eons, we sought to harvest the potential of other species, never understanding that true potential can only be realized through freedom and cooperation. We offer our knowledge, our technology, and our commitment to a new way forward. Admiral Rodriguez smiled as he watched the tactical displays transform into something new, a map of connecting consciousness, showing the first steps of a genuine galactic community. "We accept," he responded. "Welcome to humanity's true legacy. Not the power to change reality, but the wisdom to know how to use that power for the benefit of all." The bioseed vessels began to settle into their new forms, their human pilots maintaining their enhanced state, while learning to bridge the gap between what humanity had been and what it had become. They were no longer weapons or ships, but embodiments of human potential, teachers, explorers, and guardians of a new age. Sarah looked out at the transformed solar system, where quantum barriers had been replaced by bridges of light and understanding. "We didn't just break free of their containment," she observed. "We broke free of the very concept of containment. And in doing so, we freed everyone." As the first ships from other star systems began to arrive, not to harvest or contain, but to learn and share, humanity stepped into its new role. They had become not the rulers or victims of the galaxy, but its catalysts for change, its teachers of evolution, and its guardians of potential. The dawn of the new era had arrived, and it promised not dominance or submission, but a future where every species could reach for the stars and find not just what they sought, but what they could become.